everyone, I'm Biggie Mote Cosplay, and today I have a tutorial on how to find tutorials. Tip number 1, break down your costume. If your character is from a new series or a series that isn't popular, or the version of the costume that you want to make isn't well known, you might have trouble finding tutorials for your entire costume. Heck, you might not even be able to find tutorials for any part of your costume. To fix this, start by breaking your costume down into all the different components. You'll have better luck finding tutorials for those pieces or finding tutorials that are similar to the parts of your costume. When I made my Rimuru Tempest cosplay, the anime was still in the first season. There weren't many tutorials available. Instead of searching for the entire costume, I looked for tutorials on each part, like the scarf. I couldn't find a tutorial for the scarf specifically, but I could find tutorials on how to make animal tails from yarn that were very similar, and I used that technique to make my scarf. Tip number 2, think beyond cosplay. Cosplay is an interesting intersection of a lot of different crafting disciplines: sewing, foam smithing, lighting, painting, metal, woodcraft, makeup, just to name a few. Each of these fields have their own master crafters that post pictures, videos, work in progress shots, and you guessed it, tutorials. Some of the most helpful resources I've found have been outside the cosplay community: historical costumers, theater prop makers, or the fashion industries. The thing to keep in mind is that these resources won't necessarily be tagged with the word cosplay. Try removing the word cosplay from your search terms to see if you get better results. My Star Guardian Lulu cosplay was created using tutorials from jewelry blogs that I found by searching for the words resin, casting, gems, accessories, and jewels, all without the word cosplay. Tip number 3, try for the correct terminology. Search engines work by comparing your search terms to the words that appear in titles, descriptions, subtitles, paragraphs, alternate text, and tags. If you're having trouble finding tutorials, your search terms may not match the words that appear in the resources. This might be because you're not using standard or common terminology. Try doing a few searches to see if you can find the correct terms. For example, in my Yukina cosplay, I wanted to use the fabric flowers that appear in Japanese hair ornaments. When I searched for fabric flower tutorials, I got a lot of roses for weddings. I did a search to find what Japanese fabric flowers were called and found that the proper name for the hair ornaments was kanzashi. When I did a search for kanzashi petal tutorials, I found resources that were created by master artisans who'd been plying their craft for years. And those resources were what I used to not only take inspiration for the petals themselves, but on how I was going to mount them on the various accessories in that cosplay. Tip number 4, weed out the words. Let's say you don't know the correct terminology. You might not even know what to call what appears in your costume at all. How are you supposed to do a word search if you don't know the words? My first hint is think of movies, TV shows, art, or even book descriptions that feel similar to your cosplay. For my Violet Evergarden cosplay, her costume reminded me of Sherlock Holmes. From there, I learned that Sherlock Holmes is set in Victorian times. Then I looked up Victorian dresses to find pictures that matched what I wanted. I looked at the names of images, captions, various accompanying texts. In all of that, I picked up words like bustle, bumroll, and petticoat. From there, I could do more specific searches for tutorials or references on each of those separate words until I had enough to create my final design. Tip number 5, ask specific questions. Sometimes a search engine won't cut it. If you've tried my tips and spent at least a good 20 minutes searching for an answer, but you're not coming up with anything, then try asking someone. But you have to be specific with your questions. The answer to the question, how did you make your cosplay, could easily fill a small book. It's much better to ask something like, how did you style your wig? What materials did you use to make your prop? What is the name of the technique you used in that dress? How would you approach this accessory? The next time you're working on a cosplay and you're not able to find any tutorials, just remember my 5 tips. 1, break it down into separate components to increase the chances of finding resources that might be relevant to you. 2, think beyond cosplay and try to remove the term cosplay from your search words. 3, look for the correct or common terminology to get more diverse and accurate results. 4, Weed out the words by comparing the images for your cosplay references with other TV shows or books to see if you can find out what the words are supposed to be. And then 5, if you do get stuck and you need to ask someone a question, make sure it's specific and tailored to a particular technique or material. I'm Big Emote Cosplay, and I'm hoping that these tips have helped you find your next cosplay tutorial. Thanks for watching!